Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Gameday Investments. We got Adam and Jake here. We're going to be talking today about the CBS power rankings going into this NBA season. We're going to talk a little bit about opening night. Also, going to hit on the Giannis re-signing with the Bucks. Talk a little bit more about James Harden, since we seem to talk about him every episode so far. And then we're going to hit on some, yeah, true. Then we're going to hit on some key investments and talk about kind of who we're investing in, who we're looking at, going into the start of this season, and kind of shortly, briefly explain why. Um, so yeah, with that, let's go ahead and get started. We'll kick it off with the CBS Power Rankings. So, how do you feel about the Power Rankings? Do you think they were pretty accurate? Do you think there was a lot of things, or even just a couple things that could have been moved around? What's kind of your take on what their basis is for their rankings this year?
For the most part, I actually agree. I don't think anything is too far out of place. There's a couple of people that I would probably move around a little bit, but obviously it's hard to rank teams when you haven't seen them play, especially when they get a bunch of new players. It's hard to put them. It's hard to rank them. Like the Warriors, obviously being without Clay. It's going to be a bit of an adjustment. But I mean, if James Wiseman steps up, if Kelly Oubre is a good replacement, if Andrew Wiggins takes the step, like I was talking last time, I think he is going to finally step up and become that all-star, superstar level player. I think, I think with it being Steph and no Clay, he's going to be required to step up as that second star, that second option on that team. Uh, so I think that's going to be good for him, and he's got a great team to be doing that with. Uh, I think so. I would put the Warriors at least into the top 10. Probably I would probably swap them with the 76ers. I don't know that the 76ers are going to be that good this year. For me, Doc Rivers is a great addition, but he couldn't get it done in LA with the Clippers. Makes me a little bit hesitant because the talent lower in Philly than it was. Uh, Obviously, it's the Eastern Conference, so it's going to be a little bit easier to make a bit more of a run there if he can get everybody rounded together. So as of right now, I would take Golden State in the 9 spot, drop the Sixers down to the what is it, the 12th spot. Um, Other than that, I gotta say I pretty much agree with everybody else in the top 10. Um, I think it's you can't put the Lakers lower than one because they're going to they've made some significant offseason moves that have improved. The Bucks re-signing Giannis is huge. I agree with them being at number two. The Heat obviously being in the finals, they deserve to be in that top three. So yeah, I think other than that, just that one change with Philly and Golden State, and I think I agree with everybody's rankings for the most part.
I, on the other hand, do not. Mine, some teams moved significantly, some teams moved just a little bit. So to go in order from 1 to 30, I'm just going to list off where my teams moved, and then I'll kind of briefly hit on why I moved each team where I did. So Lakers, Bucks, Heat, top three I agree with. I got Nets, Warriors, Mavs, Clippers down to 7. I got Nuggets, Celtics, Raptors, Jazz, 76ers, Blazers, Suns, Hawks. Got the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, the Rockets, the Pacers, and the Spurs I left in the same spot. Then I got the Wizards, the Kings, the Bulls, the Cavs, the Magic. Then Hornets, Wolves, Pistons, Thunder, and Knicks. So that is my
I mean,
order.
I can see, like, listening to what you say, I can already hear your rationale in there. You haven't said it yet, but I can understand where you're coming from with a lot of those. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'll let you go ahead and dive into that a little bit more.
So like the main significant moves that I have, I mean, realistically, like the Kings, they only moved up one spot. The Wizards, they only moved up one spot. I dropped the Magic down. They're going to be missing Jonathan Isaac. Not that he was like an ultimate key player to their team. Like he wasn't like the answer, but he played a significant enough role that I think that hurts him just enough to bump him down a little bit. Um, the Hornets, I moved them down strictly because I felt that other teams were better. Not that they're, worse than the spot that they got. It's just I felt other teams are better than them. Same with the Wolves and the Pistons. Um, the Rockets, I bumped down two spots because I felt like with Harden wanting to be traded, like that's not good. You don't want a player who doesn't want to be there, and him gaining weight. We'll talk more about that later, but that was that, and then also them getting rid of two key players this year, and Chris Paul
Well,
and Russell Westbrook. Yes, they gained John Wall, but then it's going
have
to come
you
down to the question of how they mesh.
have you seen John playing in the preseason? He
Yeah,
doesn't look like he's missed a beat. I mean,
no, he
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 looks
really
just as
doesn't. He
healthy as
looks
ever.
he looks good, and I think that if they do get rid of Harden, I mean, Wall's going to obviously be the guy they lean on. And even if Harden stays, I think Wall's going to step into a very significant role on that team. But I don't see them making that hard of a run this season,
Okay.
realistically. They might still end up in the playoffs. I'm not saying they're out of that picture. Um,
Mhm.
I just don't see it yet.
Sure.
Um, that's about all I'm going to really dive into it just because we want to keep things moving along here. But
Real quick,
that's
one
what's
time, hot take. All right.
okay.
What
Shoot.
is your one hot take for the season? What's something that you don't think anybody thinks going to happen, but what do you think is going to happen? One hot take. One team could be multiple teams. One hot take. I'll go with mine.
Okay, you
Bulls are going
shoot.
to make the playoffs.
Oof, that was going to be mine.
Bulls are going to make the playoffs. Watching
Okay,
them in the preseason, they look good.
I think the Cavs are going to fight for a playoff spot.
I can agree with that.
I
I
think
feel like is from the top to the bottom distinctively different. That the bottom spots are it's anybody's game. I mean, anybody can do it.
yeah, I think the Cavs are going to surprise some people this year. I think their rookie, what is it, Isaac Okoro, right? That's his name.
Okoro,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Okoro is. I think he's going to be pretty good. I think he might be actually probably one of the better rookies coming into this year. Just watching him based off preseason,
Mhm.
I think Colin Sexton's really going to step up. They got a couple dangerous shooters. Yeah, there are young guards out there, but I mean, you look at the Grizzlies last season, and I see a lot of them in the Cavs this season.
Mhm. You
So
know, one thing that I noticed just watching the preseason games and just kind of following along with that, they pretty much hit the nail on the head with the top five picks, I think. I mean, I feel like everybody went exactly where they should have gone.
oh yeah, yeah. Okay, you're talking about like in the draft.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I
Like
got you. I thought
Anthony
you, oh,
Edwards looks
I was
great.
like,
No, like Anthony Edwards looks great. He's super athletic. He's a player. I mean, I haven't really has James Wiseman been playing? I haven't gotten to watch him much,
he did,
but
but
I think
he's day to day right now because he went. I think he went to COVID protocol for a little bit.
gotcha.
So he
Okay,
played like
but I
one. I
mean,
think he played one preseason game, like the first one, and I mean he looked good. He was. I wouldn't say he looked outstanding. Like it wasn't like he came out
mhm,
and just like knocked people's socks off, but he did what they needed him to do.
And that's all that you can ask. I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah, he did what he was supposed
he was very much so to fill a need. That was all that he was, and I feel like that's how most teams should be. I mean, you decide who your core players are, and if you do not have that one superstar, you go out and draft them or trade for them.
to. Yeah.
And they did not need that superstar, so they drafted based on their need. So I think that was a great pick for number 2. LaMelo Ball's already making Charlotte look more fun and exciting.
Yeah, I think it's fun to
With his
watch.
flashy passes and everything. Yeah, like it's fun. Patrick Williams has been doing very well in preseason, surprising a lot of people and showing why he jumped up the draft board so quick. And then, like you said, Okoro's playing very well too. I
Okoro,
think
like I said, he
that
might be my favorite rookie this season so far.
yeah.
Like I just think he's fun
Sorry
to
about that
watch.
topic. I yeah.
No, it's all good. All right, let's bring it back though. Let's move on to the next question. Keep things moving right along here into opening night. So the first matchup we got Warriors versus Nets. Um, now I think I want the Nets to win. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think it's going to come down to kind of the last minute. You know, I could see it being one of those games where they're hitting fouls in the last minute just to try to stop the clock. Like I think it's going to be that close, or it has the potential to be. Um, I'm going to say Nets win just because I'm rooting for the Nets. Not that I necessarily for sure can say that's going to happen.
I mean, did you watch the first game Kyrie and KD played together?
Yeah.
They clicked. They clicked already.
They clicked.
They
Grant looked good,
yeah.
like healthy.
They look real good. Offensively, they look great. I think it's going to be a great game, but I don't know. I feel like the Warriors are ready. Steph's been out. I mean, their team didn't make the bubble. I feel like the Warriors are going to come out firing. I think
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think the barely edge past the Nets.
That's fair. All right, next matchup we got Lakers and Clippers. Now, obviously, I think most people are going to bet on the Lakers if you are a betting person.
I mean, the Lakers also have a bad taste in their mouth because I don't think they beat the Clippers once in
They
the regular
didn't.
season last year.
Nope.
So I think they
Well, they
kind of got
didn't
a
beat the
bad taste
Lakers.
in their mouth.
They didn't beat the Lakers at all. Or I mean, the Lakers didn't beat the Clippers at all last year. Like not once.
Or I
Because
guess they didn't
they didn't
even
beat
play
in
in
the
the playoffs, did
playoffs.
they?
No, so like they lost to the Clippers every single time. Now they did beat them in preseason this year.
Okay.
Because Taylor Horton Tucker came out there and
Taylor Horton
dropped
Tucker hit
33 on
30
them.
some points.
Yeah, so but no, I'd say Lakers take that.
I agree. I think the Lakers have a lot of talent, as much as it pains me to say.
Yeah. So I mean, there's not really much else to touch on with that. So we'll just jump into Giannis re-signing. So he did sign a supermax contract, 5-year contract. I think it was the
a $250 million. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
the largest contract in the NBA.
Yeah. For me, what that says is he's loyal. You know, he wants the team to continue to try to build around him. But it also, to me, says that he thinks that he can win a ring there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that's what that tells me. And I mean, I don't disagree with that, but that says good things about the team and their future. You know, to me, that's what I.
They've done a great job of building a solid core around Giannis. I mean, they're not a big market, so they can only attract so much there. But I mean, they went out, they got Eric Bledsoe when they realized they needed something better at point guard. Eric Bledsoe didn't work out because, I mean, he was great in the regular season, but when he hit the playoffs, he struggled. So you're getting a great proven point guard to replace him in Drew Holiday. Chris Middleton, who has turned into an all-star. I mean, they're doing whatever they can to retain him. It's Giannis's best friend. They obviously play well. They complement each other well because Chris Middleton's a player where Giannis is just a great inside and defensively. The Bucks are a top tier defensive team and have been for the past however many years. I think they're a great team. My one thing is they as much as I love Brook Lopez, I'd rather see him come off the bench. I'd rather see them get either come off the bench, or I'd rather see them just make a move for a better center in general. I feel like Giannis does need one more, at least all-star caliber, and I feel like Brook Lopez just does not deliver that. Um, but other than that, I think Giannis staying in Milwaukee is great for the NBA. It shows that small market teams can contend. They can be the best team in the regular season, and it's a fun story to see a guy who many, whether it's true or not, many believe to be the best in the NBA, and he is staying with the team that drafted him, and the team that, I mean, he's staying with the team that is willing to do whatever it takes to keep him.
Yeah.
And they've already said they'll go into the luxury tax just to make sure that they can build that team around him. Like they are fully committed to Giannis, and it's
I
fun
think
to
there's no
see that.
reason. There's no reason they shouldn't be.
No,
You know,
he's
and then
improved
on
every
top of
year he's
that,
been there.
yeah, and then on top of that, seeing Giannis, develop into the player that he is now, like it's been a fun ride to watch him
Definitely.
throughout the years, and like you said, he improves every single time. Now I know he's working on shooting. Now that's obviously still not great, but at least he knows where his flaws are and he's willing to fix those.
He's a 10.
So I see that as a plus. Um, and also another thing to consider: a team from the East has not won a finals title since. Yeah, exactly. It's been a while.
That's crazy.
And obviously that was with LeBron on their team. So like it would be nice to see someone from the East finally take that title. So like I'm all in on the Bucks, trying to take it all. So next, I feel like we can go ahead and move on to the next question. We got James Harden's weight gain. This is the one that I was looking the most forward to talking about. Because obviously we've ragged on him the last 2 episodes. If you haven't listened, you can go check those out. But he comes up every single time so far. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about with him and him not showing up initially, and then all of a sudden him showing up and looking like he put on like 50 pounds. Like,
Right.
Like,
I
okay,
mean, he's
what the hell?
going partying with Lil Baby, go to a party in Vegas, and just breaking protocols for COVID. And it's like when you're one of the highest paid players in the NBA, like you're expected to carry yourself a certain way.
Oh,
And you're
definitely. Like
expected
you're a
to do
professional.
certain things. Right.
Yeah, like you're
It's
a
like,
professional. People look up to you. Like
right.
you're in the limelight. You have to do that. Like you and I, like we're just now trying to come into the limelight in our own sense, But like before, we could do something like totally off the wall and no one knows who we are, like no big deal. But like you've constantly got someone watching you when you're in that position. And that's actually some of the things that I wrote down as notes is that like he's not acting like that professional athlete. He's acting like a college athlete, somebody that is just on the team just for fun to get their degree paid for, that knows they're not going to make the league. Like that's what he's acting like right now.
Yeah.
And I think
like literally when you're in the go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, I think him wanting that trade, sorry. I think him wanting that trade is a loss for the Rockets automatically, which is part of why I dropped them down. Because even if he doesn't get traded, like he doesn't want to be there. Now that doesn't mean that he's not going to try as hard. Like I don't necessarily think that, but when you have the wrong mindset about yourself, things are going to change. It's not going to be the same. And I think that overall, that added with his weight gain and stuff like that, like I think that's going to affect his game in a very poor way.
Oh, definitely. It's just, I mean, all it is he is, which to an extent, I respect his demeanor just because he carries himself as if he is the best player in the NBA. He acts like, and I understand to a certain level, he's not. No, I agree. But it's like, to some extent, like you have to have that level of confidence
Yeah.
to be known as good of a player as he is. I mean, that's like one of the mentalities that Kobe had, Michael had, LeBron has. Like they think that they are the greatest that has ever played. They are the best in this game. Nobody's going to stop me. And that's the mentality that I think Harden has, but I think he's taking it a little too far, thinking that demanding the trade, I'm going to be able to go wherever I want. I'm going to put this list of teams down, and those are the places I'll go. At the end of the day, the front office is going to make that decision. They're going to trade you to whoever's going to give them the best deal, or whoever's going to give them the player. And when you've shown that you are just basically giving up by putting on a ton of weight, doing whatever you want, like breaking COVID protocols, not being able to show up to training camp, not coming to preseason, like it's just a bad look. It's like, to an extent, I understand.
He's acting like Dennis Rodman without all the hardware.
Right.
Like he's acting like Dennis Rodman, but he just doesn't have the rings to, be Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
That's
exactly. And he's not a bad boy. I mean, he flops. I mean, he's bodying people. No.
Yeah, he's not going to go out there and punch you in the face just because he knows you're better than him. Like
Dennis
that's
Rodman,
not going
to. If you looked at him the wrong way, he was going to drop you.
Dude, Dennis Rodman's one of my favorite players of all time, easily.
That's why I got his autographed jersey.
Yeah.
I can't wait to frame that thing too.
All right, so I think we've ragged on Harden enough. Although I do have one more thing to say before.
We'll come back to that next week.
I do have one more thing to say before I forget. I have been referring to him today as James hardly able to do cardio.
I like it.
That's what I've been referring to him as. Like I dropped a lot of comments on different social media videos of him today, of that, and it was pretty popular. It was fun. Good times.
I like it.
A lot of people didn't like it. A lot of Harden fans, not fans of that, but whatever. To each their own. So next we'll move on to key investments. So I'll just kick mine off. I got 5 names, that I'm really looking at. They're more of bets or on the cheaper side of how I project that they're going to do. So kicking it off, we got Colin Sexton. You can still get his rookie cards raw fairly cheap. Obviously, Prisms, graded in a 10 are expensive no matter who you're looking at for the most part. But with Colin Sexton, I think he's going to have a breakout season. Like I said, I think the Cavs are going to surprise some people this year. So I'm betting pretty high on his game. I think with a couple of the shooters that they have on that team, they're going to be able to spread the floor a little more and let him do a little bit more work than what he already was. So I'm pretty high on him. I'm also high on their rookie Okoro, just to add an honorable mention to this list. Also got Brandon Clark with Triple J being out for a little while. I got Brandon Clark, stepping up, taking that slot. We saw him perform pretty well last year in the bubble. You can get his cards for a decent price, depending on which one you're looking at. He's probably one of the more expensive ones on this list. Then we got Lonnie Walker with the Spurs. Yeah, I like Lonnie Walker. I enjoy his game. I think him and Keldon Johnson, when Keldon Johnson finally gets in, obviously we haven't seen too much of him in the preseason. Not really sure why, because he performed well in the bubble. Both of them are on my list here. And then my final guy is going to be Karis LeVert with the Nets. Because Kyrie and KD are drawing all of the attention, I think that he's going to be one of those supporting cast, kind of outside the limelight stars on that team, and that he's going to be a pivotal point in their game. I really like watching him play, and I think that he has a lot of potential this year with KD and Kyrie there, I think that they're going to draw enough attention that they're going to open some shots and opportunities for him to make plays. So those would be the 5 guys that I'm really high on. And then I'll kick it over to Adam and let him give you his guys that he's looking at.
So much like Jake, mine is a lot like, or a lot of kind of lower end buys. Well, extremely low end buys. So one guy that I'm really high on, I I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know if it's going to pan out this year or if it's going to be a longer down the line thing. He's coming off the bench right now. He was a second round pick. I'm going with Daniel Gafford for the Bulls. He's super athletic. He's a lot of fun to watch. Incredibly gifted when it comes to defense. He gets a ton of blocks. He doesn't get a whole lot of minutes as of right now, but I think that can change with Wendell Carter showing that he's not exactly the most durable player. I think that could give way to a lot of opportunity for Gafford. Just if they're splitting minutes, just to make sure that Carter stays healthy or whatever happens, he's one guy that I think could have a very, very solid career in the NBA. Another guy is Josh Okogie with the Timberwolves. He's, again, super athletic, great defensive player. Again, I tend to lean towards the guys that are good defenders because they're guys that are going to be serviceable in the league for a long period of I see Okogie developing into, I don't want to say a Marcus Smart, somewhat like him, as he's highly respected by his fan base. But I mean, Marcus Smart is obviously known for his defensive ability. I think Okogie has a lot higher upside than that. I think there's an all-star caliber player as his career develops. So he's one guy. Another guy I'm betting on. Another one is Victor Oladipo. I think he's gonna be a great year back after the torn quad. Obviously, that's a huge injury for somebody who depends on their athleticism as much as Oladipo does. But I think he's going to recover well. I think the Pacers have handled him. He made his way back into the bubble last year. He didn't play a whole lot of minutes, but he got some playing time just to kind of get the reps in. I think he's going to have a great year. I bought into some of his color prisms and things like that. Crossed that this is a good year. I'm kind of hoping down the line maybe the Bucks try to pick him up as the other star option alongside Giannis. But I'd say those are really my top 3. I mean, I've got a few guys that I've got a few things for, like D'Angelo Russell. I've bought into a few of his rated rookies a little while back. I mean, D'Angelo Russell's obviously a great player, and I think having him for a full in Minnesota, I think having him alongside Karl Anthony Towns is going to be good for him, and I think I have a lot of respect for the Timberwolves, for the Timberwolves organization. So I think he's going to have a good career there. I think they're going to treat him well. I think he'll be happy. Yeah, I'd say that's really about it as far as my investments for the year.
As of this moment, anyway. That's kind of what we're looking at,
Until the next round of rookie cards come out for this year, where they're actually in their pro unis, and we can take some picks on that. I'm going
to try to move.
You said Okoro. I'd say Patrick Williams.
Yeah, I mean, both of them I'm looking at. I'm going to try to move some of my stuff that I mentioned. Those aren't like long-term holds necessarily. I usually buy multiples of them so that way I can sit on, 1 or 2 I can move some, and then that way I can keep the cash flow coming in and out. You know, that's the model I try to follow. But I don't really have anything else to add. You all set there, Adam?
Yeah, no, I don't really have anything else. At
All
the
right.
end of the day, we talk a lot of basketball. I feel like this podcast is a lot of you and I doing some sports talk, but we're always here for you card collectors out there that are wanting our input. We're always happy to help. Feel free to reach out to us via Instagram or however you're listening to us. If you're on YouTube, leave us a comment. We're gonna make sure. Maybe we'll some kind of an email address or something so we can have longer conversations through there. If you have any other things that you want to ask us,
Or
we're here to
yeah,
help you guys.
or
We're
stay
here to give you
tuned for
our
like a live.
opinions.
Stay
Yeah,
tuned for live. You know, we might end up going live
yeah,
here. You know,
yeah.
soon. And we can always answer questions there. You know, we both got TikToks, we both got Instagrams, we got YouTube. Links should all be, you know, with that. Um, I know for sure the YouTube is. So if there isn't anything there, you know, drop a comment there if you're looking for one of our specific pages, and I'll make sure that we get you steered in the right direction. But with that, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys again next week. And, you know, feel free to check out, like we said, all of our social media pages. We post pretty regularly. I try to do at least once a day, if not twice, on at least Instagram and TikTok. And then also keep an eye out on the YouTube page. We're going to start dropping some breaks and, you know, doing some videos on different packs and different guys as well. Get a little more in depth into the card world. So, like I said, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.